Welcome back. This is Dr. Kim Clover coming to you live here today. I wanted to talk to you about anxiety. So just an impromptu, quick conversation about anxiety because it affects so many of us Americans. It is affecting 40 million Americans today, maybe even more, but that's one of the statistics that I read. And how do we deal with the anxiety that it causes us? Now, many of us have had anxiety during the COVID crisis, but many of us have anxiety on a daily basis. So, how do we deal with and try to overcome anxiety? So, let's talk about that. There are different types of anxiety. There are social anxieties, which means people have struggles with going out in public and being around other people, and they may be uncomfortable in crowds. There's also a difference between social anxiety and generalized anxiety, which could be just a time when we are anxious generally. We're anxious about the state of the world, we're anxious about finances, we're anxious about our health. We just tend to stay in an anxious state. There's also OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, which is also difficult. Often we have negative, very anxiety-provoking thoughts that then will lead to compulsive actions. So we have to think about something, and we think about it to the point where then we have to do something to try to make it better. There's also panic disorder, where people get so anxious that then there is an anxiety disorder or a panic disorder or a panic attack. Those are simple statements of feeling out of control and kind of having a situation where they feel like they're losing it. So, let's talk about some of the other symptoms. Some of the symptoms of anxiety: your heart rate can race. Your heart rate can increase. Your breathing, you may feel shortness of breath. You may feel like you're having a panic attack or a heart attack. You may feel shaky or sweaty. Some people feel like they can't concentrate. Oftentimes, people with anxiety fear the very worst happening. And many people with anxiety are indecisive. And sleep comes very difficult for people with anxiety because they're so worked up with their thought processes. Many of these fears are irrational, and the irrational fears that we have basically come down to the definition that I like to give of anxiety. Anxiety is the fear of losing control. And when we feel like we have no control in our life, then oftentimes we will feel the most anxious. So it's very important for us to look at that. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of losing control over? And a solution is, what do you find that you have control over? So I want to look at both of those today. Remember that probably over 90% of that which we worry about does not come to pass. So the opposite of worry is often faith. And when we can have faith about something and trust that God has control, often we will not worry. In the Bible, it always says, worry about nothing and pray about everything. That is easier said than done for many people who really struggle with anxiety. So let's talk about the control. Many of the times when I see someone who has had a panic attack, they will tell me about something. They're in the middle of driving over the interstate and they absolutely come apart, and nothing has happened before and nothing has happened after, but they simply feel totally out of control. What I say in that moment is that exact situation did not necessarily bring it on. It was the culprit at the end of several things that could have been happening. So look at what you do have control over and make a list of that. Sometimes all we have control over in this world is how we respond to what happens to us. Now, if you've ever listened to any of my videos or ever been in my office, I have talked about responding logically and not reacting emotionally. Reactions that are emotional usually don't go well, but responses are logical and typically do. So we don't have control over what is happening often, but we can step back and think about a situation and then decide how to respond. Work on responding. That is what you have control over. So you may not have control over the fact that the world is in the state that it's in, and maybe you don't have a job right now, or maybe you don't know when you're going to get back to work right now, but you do have control over how you think about that situation and how you trust God in that situation. So that is what I'm talking about with responses. Reactions are going into the what if cycle and thinking about the worst case scenarios. That's what brings on a lot of anxiety. So if you're in the what ifs, come back and pull your feet down into the present and stay in the reality of what is. And that can be very beneficial. What ifs go into kind of a spiraling downward. What if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if this brings that on? And when we go down that trap into the rabbit hole, we often feel the anxiety. And the more negative our thoughts are, and the more anxiety-provoking our thoughts are, the more negative we're going to feel, the more anxious we're going to feel, and the more likely we are to feel that loss of control, which leads to a possible panic attack. So, it is so important for you to remember that you don't have control over many things, but you do have control over how you think about it and how you respond to it. So whatever comes your way today, make a commitment to yourself. Make a decision right now that you're going to step back and think about the situation at hand, and then logically make a decision and how you will act on it and how you will think on it. That is what you have control over. Our thoughts lead to our feelings, which lead to our behavior. So there's this sequence that takes place. If you are in control of your thoughts, you will be in control of your feelings and more likely in control of your behaviors. But if you are not in control of your thoughts and they are running rampant on this anxiety-provoking time, you are going to more likely have anxiety-provoking feelings and then a reaction of sorts. Whether it is some of the symptoms that I brought up at the first of this video or a full-blown panic attack. So when you have a negative thought, like, what am I going to do about this? Or how's this going to work out? Or I don't think this is going to, and you're in that what if, snap your fingers, see a stop sign, stop the negative thought, and replace it with two positives. Instead of what if, stop and say, right here, right now, I'm okay. I can stand in the presence of the Lord, have faith, and trust that things are going to be okay. Now, it could be 2 seconds, 2 minutes, or 2 hours, and you probably are going to have another anxiety-provoking thought. Stay after that process of stopping the negative, replacing it with two positives, and try to stay in a positive thinking pattern. When you do that, that is your best solution to anxiety, because anxiety is brought on by negative thoughts, also anxiety-provoking thoughts, and they're usually very, very emotionally charged. So the control of your thoughts is up to you, and deciding to be aware of them and recognizing them and standing on them in the present is going to be helpful to you. Another solution to anxiety is to prevent it. Of course, I'm a big exercise advocate. I'm also a big mediation or meditation or relaxation advocate. If you will do that on a daily basis, you will find yourself less anxious when something that is anxiety provoking comes up than if you don't try to do preventative measures in the start of the day. When you wake up in the morning, before your feet hit the floor, the first thoughts that need to come to your mind should be positive, peaceful, and productive, not anxiety and negative and worry. So many times the first thing you wake up in the morning, what do you say? This is going to be an awful day. I didn't sleep good last night. How am I ever going to get through it? That is a terrible way to start your day. Way back when there were clock radios, oftentimes we'd get a jingle stuck in our head, which was the music that came on in the morning. Now I'm dating myself. But that is how powerful the subconscious mind is first thing in the morning. So start your day well. Start it off with a positive. Today's going to be a good day. I've got this. I trust God. I'm going to be calm, relaxed, and peaceful. I'm calm, cool, collected, and composed. You write the scripts that you want to hear in your in your head, and then start your day that way. And stay after talking to yourself that way throughout your day. Also, another very powerful time of the brain and the subconscious mind is right before bed. So right before bed, tell yourself, I'm going to sleep great tonight. I'm going to awaken tomorrow full of life and energy. It's going to be a good day, and I am calm, I am relaxed, and I am peaceful. And when you talk to yourself that way, first thing of the day and last thing at night, you are more likely to feel that way throughout your day. So, the thought stopping, the self-affirmations in the morning and at night. And then, if you do start to feel anxiety, get grounded, get somewhere, get stable in your chair or lying down or wherever you are, and ground yourself and start observing. Observe your surroundings and say, in this moment, I am sitting here. I have a purple shirt on. I am in a white chair. I see, and you start describing your situation. You decrease the emotional feelings and you increase the logic. And that is going to help you distract yourself away from the anxiety. We cannot stop anxiety, but we can minimize it. And so ride the wave. Don't try to stop it. Try to relax into it and get grounded in that moment. And if you get grounded and you start thinking and describing more than feeling, I think you will see that the anxiety attack or the anxiety or panic starts to diminish. You can take deep breaths. You can do a relaxation video. You can listen to meditation. All of these things are preventative. So I really recommend prevention. Exercise on a regular basis. Try to do some relaxation on a regular basis. Talk to yourself in a positive way and be aware of your thoughts throughout your day. And get grounded if not. If you have to ride a wave of a panic attack, get grounded somewhere and take some deep breaths and start to think and describe. There's a great workbook called the Anxiety and Worry Workbook by Clark and Beck. And I will be putting that in my comments so that you can click on it and go to you probably over to Amazon and buy that book. But in the end, it is worth your time to really learn about how you can cope with the anxiety of the world or anxiety in your life, because life is too short to not enjoy it. So I hope you will be positive. Like us here on Facebook. Remember that we're available to you at Clover Counseling Services at all times. Give us a call any time of the day or night. We will get back to you and get you in here if you need help with anxiety. But I hope this has been helpful. Good luck, God bless, and have a good rest of your day.